Hey, welcome back. It's Jason Walter, and in today's video, I'm going to be going over a huge update regarding the unemployment benefits, the small business loans, which would be the EIDL and the PPP, as well as the stimulus checks, and then lastly, the IRS portal, which has updated a ton of information online, including an FAQ section. So let's go ahead and dive into the video. Okay, so let's talk first about unemployment. So last week, 5.2 million Americans filed for unemployment benefit claims, and now we have a total of 22 million people who have filed for unemployment over the last 4 weeks, which is a staggering number. This is the biggest job loss since the Great Depression, and obviously our government has stepped in order to pass a series of stimulus plans in order to mitigate this financial hardship for Americans. And like I mentioned in my previous videos, this includes an additional $600 per week on top of state benefits, and they also have included workers that normally do not qualify, such as gig workers, furloughed employees, and independent contractors. And most of the states have taken steps to update their systems to allow this to take place. But California, for example, has not updated their system for those workers who normally do not qualify to be able to receive benefits. And they're expecting that to be happening in the next couple of weeks. All right, so that's the news about the unemployment benefits. So let's talk about the small business loans, which of course would be the PPP and the EIDL. The PPP, of course, is the Payroll Protection Program, and the EIDL is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. And these are for small businesses. So as you probably know, as of April 16th, all the funds for these two programs have been fully allocated. Now it's $350 billion that went up just like that. So let me read on the SBA's website about how they responded to this. It says that the SBA, or of course the Small Business Administration, is unable to accept new applications at this time for the PPP and the EIDL based upon available appropriations funding. So it says that the EIDL applicants who have already submitted their applications will continue to be processed on a first-come, first-served basis. I applied for both the EIDL and the PPP, and I actually received an email from my bank regarding my application for the PPP, and it says that the funds have been fully allocated already, and it says we are continuing to process your application, and we will hold your application for 30 days from the date it was originally submitted. I submitted mine on April 9th. So they'll continue to process it for 30 days, and then they'll let us know if there's anything that has been changed, basically. And so there's no assurance that additional funding will become available or that it'll be available under the same terms and conditions. I'm obviously bummed that I didn't get accepted to this PPP program, but of course I'm going to hope that new funds are going to be available soon, so we'll have to see. The process has been frustrating for me. So for example, the Bank of America was allowing people to apply for the PPP program days ahead. My bank was allowing me to do it. So there has been some issues with this program, and I know I'm not the only one who has experienced these issues. So again, let's talk about the EIDL, which is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. I applied for this on March 30th, and I haven't heard anything back at all. I actually reached out to the SBA, or the Small Business Administration, talked to a representative there, and he basically just read a written statement, a response when I asked some questions. He couldn't look up my application number, so that was frustrating, but I understand that they're probably getting inundated with questions and emails from people who are wondering, the status of the application. But according to the SBA's website, they're still processing everyone on a first-come, first-served basis for those who have already applied. And I applied, over 2 weeks ago. So hopefully I'll get a response from that soon. And I've read here the U.S. Department of Treasury has a statement here that says that the SBA has processed more than 14 years worth of loans in less than 14 days. I've read somewhere that they have processed over 1.6 million applications in that 14-day period, which is a mind-blowing number. It also says that the SBA will not be able to issue new loan approvals once the programs experience a lapse in appropriations, which is now, of course. It says, of course, that they urge Congress to appropriate additional funds into the PPP program. So what we're basically seeing right now is that Republicans and Democrats can't agree on how they're going to be infusing money into this PPP, or the Payroll Protection Program. So Republicans want a quick infusion of these funds of $250 billion to go into the PPP program, whereas the Democrats want an infusion, but they want it done with some restrictions because there has been some hiccups along the way. So the Democrats want to add some money for hospitals and food stamp recipients, for example. Also, this new stimulus package, or this new plan that they're working out right now, it's called the Emergency Money for the People Act. And it could include extra money for essential workers and potentially for another round of stimulus checks up to $2,000 per individual per month. Okay, let me give you an update about the stimulus checks as well as the IRS portal and the Get My Payment application. So I posted a video just a couple of days ago on my YouTube channel, and a lot of people are reporting issues they were having, a lot of questions that were unanswered on the IRS website. So I'm going to be hopefully giving some clarification on that because the IRS has updated a ton of information on their website for this. But if you missed my previous video about this with the walkthrough of this portal, I'll leave a link in the description below. And by the way, to stay updated with new developments, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. I also post new updates about how this pandemic is affecting our real estate market. Okay, so the IRS issued a statement and said that the Get My Payment site is operating smoothly and effectively. Obviously, people have been experiencing a lot of issues with this portal, but they say that more than 6.2 million taxpayers have successfully received their payment status, and almost 1.1 million taxpayers have successfully provided their banking account information. The most common error that people are receiving is a status not available error message. And the IRS basically issued a statement saying that this could be for one of the following reasons if you get the status not available response on their Get My Payment site. And it says that you may receive this if you are not eligible for the economic impact payment, or if you are not required to file a tax return and have not filed your tax return in 2018 or 2019. Also, if you recently filed your return or provided information through the non-filers, enter your payment info on the IRS website. It says your payment status will be updated when processing is complete. It also says that if you are an SSA or an RRB Form 1099 recipient, or an SSI or VA benefit recipient, then the IRS is working with your agency to issue your payment, and your information is not available in this app yet. But there's an update I have for you on that later here. It says the Get My Payment data is updated once per day, so there's no need to check multiple times per day. I hope that makes sense. Let me share some guidance with you from the IRS regarding the economic impact payments or the stimulus checks. I'm not going to go over every one of these questions. I'll leave a link in the description below for these, but I'm going to give you a high-level overview of these questions here and then kind of go over the ones that I've been receiving from my viewers. So first question here is that I recently filed a tax return. What do I need to do in order to get a payment? And it says you do not need to take any further action if you filed a federal tax return for 2018 or 2019. So it says if you already filed your tax return for 2019, the IRS will use that information in order to calculate your payment. However, if you have only filed 2018 but not 2019, they're going to take your 2018 federal income tax return in order to calculate your payment amount. So there's that. Another question here. I haven't filed a tax return for 2018 or 2019, and I don't need to file tax returns for those years. I receive Social Security, SSI, or railroad retirement benefits. What do I need to do in order to get payment? And the answer is you are not required to file a tax return, and you will automatically receive your $1,200 payment if you fall within that category. And it says you will receive your payment as a direct deposit or by mail, just as you would normally receive your federal benefits. So I hope that makes sense. And there's actually been a big update today from the IRS regarding people who actually receive Veteran Affairs benefits. So it says that recipients of VA benefits will automatically receive the economic impact payments. They'll receive a $1,200 economic impact payment with no further action needed on their part. That was just issued today. Okay, let's go over a few more of these questions on the IRS website. And it says again, watch out for scams. The IRS will not call, email you, or text you about your payment. Of course, they're not going to ask you about your personal information and bank account information. So just be safe out there. I have to mention this again because I don't want any of my viewers to be a victim of a scam. There's also a lengthy information section about what is considered a qualifying child. You can get up to $500 per qualifying child. Just take a look at the IRS website. I'll leave a link in the description below for that information. Here's another common question that I'm seeing out there, and the question is a child born, adopted, or placed into foster care in 2020 a qualifying child for the payment? And this applies to my wife and I. I haven't announced this on YouTube yet, but my wife and I are actually due in June. We're really excited about that. This is a crazy time to be pregnant. But for anyone who is expecting a child in 2020, this payment amount will not be included in your economic stimulus check this year. However, it says that you can claim the child next year for an additional credit on your 2020 tax return. So I hope that makes sense. Another question here on the IRS website, it says, if I owe tax or have a payment agreement with the IRS or owe other federal or state debts, will my payment be reduced as an offset? And it says no, but with one exception. And it says a payment will be offset only by past due child support. So if you're past due on child support and you're receiving this stimulus check, they're going to intercept it. Another common question I'm getting from people is that what if my bank account information has changed since I last filed? And they do have an answer for you. The IRS posted an answer. It says, if the account is closed or no longer active, your bank account, then the bank will reject your deposit and you'll be issued a paper check in the mail. And they'll be sent it to the address they have on file for you. And that's either through your last tax return or updated through the United States Postal Service. I hope that makes sense. To stay up to date about this economic impact payments as well as the new stimulus packages, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. I'll also be posting about how this pandemic is affecting our real estate market. I'm going to be giving you an update next week on that, so stay tuned. Please hit the like button to help support this channel. You also can follow me on Instagram. I'm Sacramento Realtor. I hope you have an awesome day and look forward to seeing you on the next video.